Hello and assalamu alaikum everyone. A very warm welcome to the day 2 of the AAA Webinar to Success for June 2025 exam. On the first day of this webinar, I was looking for the key tips for the June 25 exam in terms of what can come in your paper. But again, those were only estimates. If you watched the day 1, this is the day 2 and a much more important day because today I will be discussing from the examiner perspective some of the issues which are really important for the students appearing in the June 25 exams, and you should note these issues down carefully and try to ensure that you're overcoming them in your June exam, because these are really important issues. Number 2, I'll be discussing about time management because that's another problematic area in AAA, and I need to give you yet another guidance on time management. Now, in terms of the issues and clarity from examiner perspective, let's see the list of issues I have developed particularly for the June 25 exams, and I would like this to be reinforced. The first issue, in the requirement, evaluate and prioritize the audit risk or risk of material misstatement. Students miss on the prioritization part and lose easy professional skill marks. The student do write a good answer for audit risk or risk of material misstatement. They know how to write it. But the problem is that you are not prioritizing the risk you are writing. Now, what is the easy way out? Now, when you're writing the audit risk or a risk of material misstatement, suppose you need to write 5 of them. So if you're writing 5 audit risk or 5 risk of material misstatement, you can write them in the order in which you are finding them in the scenario. So suppose you started to read the exhibit number 2, you find a risk 1, risk 2, risk 3. You went to the exhibit number 3, you find another risk, and you keep accumulating your total number of risk you need to write versus the marks. Now, once you've written the risk and once you have evaluated them, now you will give a conclusion paragraph at the end of the audit risk requirement or at the end of the risk of material misstatement, right? You will write conclusion, and under that conclusion, you will give a conclusion that which 2 or which 3 above are more important risk and why. Now that is important. You need to give your justification that which 2 above or max which 3 above are important and why. That why is important because examining team wants to look at your justification and wants to look at your judgment, your basis of concluding that which 2 or which 3 of the above are important, where the auditor will be focusing on when he will come for the audit. Now, that why will differ from a student to student because there is no one right answer. So first of all, come out of that misunderstanding that when we say prioritize the risk, there is no one definition of prioritization. Now, one student might say that a first year audit, which means the detection risk of management bias, 2 of them are important for me, and he justify why. Another student say that the qualitative disclosure related to the related party because that's qualitatively material, and some other risk is important to me. Or another student will say that the risk which are monetary important, that means the risk which are like quantitatively material, the top 3 risks in terms of their quantitative materiality are important to me, and you justify the reason. So risk could be important on the basis of its quantitative materiality, qualitative aspects. It could be material because it has a risk of management bias. It could be material because it could be significant, sorry, because it has the estimations, subjectivity, some inherent risk, underlying inherent risk. So there could be multiple justifications of which 2 or which 3 of the above risk are important and why, but that why is important. So you need to choose as a student which 2 or 3 are important. Now, because you wrote the risk, you are in a better position to justify that according to me, which 2 are important. And the justification is very natural because you wrote about them, so you know exactly what's happening in each risk and what characteristic of that risk is making it important. Is it the quantitative materiality? Is it something about estimate? Is it something about subjectivity? Is it something about management bias? What is so special about that risk which is making it important? So don't lose that marks, because this is part of your conclusion, and that is an easiest way you can do the prioritization of the risk you have given in the answer. Number two, calculation and concluding on the materiality level. Though it's such an easy thing in question number one, students are still not getting the full marks. You know, there are three technical marks around calculation and commenting on the materiality in the question number one, where you get a partner email and the partner tells you on which factor you need to determine the materiality. Now, students are still getting that wrong in terms of calculation at a AAA level. Number two problem is that you're not giving a sound judgment on the level of materiality you will choose and why. Now, for example, examining team tells, or sorry, the partner tells you in the email that you need to base your materiality on profit before tax. So you will first determine the materiality on the basis of profit before tax by taking the 5% lower side and the 10% higher side. You will calculate what is 5% of the profit. You will calculate what's 10% of the profit, and you will write the answer. Now that's step number one, right? In the step number two, definitely after calculating the answer at 5% and 10%, you will tell that which percentage will you be using? Will you be using the materiality at 5% or materiality at 10% or something in the middle like 6%, 7%, 8%, and justifying why. So I calculated the materiality at 5% of the profit. I calculated the materiality at 10% of the profit, and I wrote the answer. Now I will be telling in the next sentence that I have a lower side at 5%, I have the higher side at 10%, and something is in the middle, like 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, which will I choose? Will I choose the lowest at the 5%? Why? Will I choose the highest at 10%? Why? Will I choose something like 7%? If I say 7, then I have to calculate the 7% because above I've only calculated 5 and 10. So if I say I have to take something in the middle, I need to calculate that like 7, like 8, like 6, and you need to show that work. You need to show the answer again. So it's either choosing 5, it's either choosing 10 or something in the middle, but you have to calculate that middle part again and justify that I'm taking 7. So if one student says I'm taking 5, why? If one student says I'm taking 10, why? If one student is taking 7, why? Is it the first year audit? Probably, yes, mostly in the first year audit, we take 5%, the lower side, because the risk is high. Yes, if it is a recurring audit, we are doing the audit for the last many years, then in that case, I can gradually increase my materiality from like 5% to 7%, 6%, 8%. I will still not go for the maximum because every year there are risks in the financial statement, and those risks are given to you in the exam paper. So you have risk. So taking the maximum is probably the most illogical assumptions you will go in the exam paper. Taking the lowest is very good for the first year audits, but taking something in the middle like 6, 7 is good for the recurring audits because even though it's a recurring audit, there are risks present. But I cannot choose 5% for a recurring audit because at least I have a knowledge of business better than the first year audit. So you need to justify which percentage of the profit you are choosing and why. Your justification is very important. So if you say 7%, then quote the amount at 7%. 5%, quote the amount at 5%. So you have to choose the quantitative materiality, the amount of it, which will then be used across your answer for audit risk and risk of material misstatement. So it's not just scoring the 3 technical marks by doing the calculation of 5% and 10% and then choosing which one will you go for, 5 or 10 or something in the middle like 7%. So for 7%, you need to calculate that again and then justify that why you choose 7. There has to be some sound basis of that. You're scoring 3 technical marks. But because you exercise judgment, because you justified that why I choose 5, why I choose 10, why I choose 7. So for that why even, you're getting a professional skill marks as well. So that's an area of concern. Even I've seen students myself that who calculate 5% wrongly. You know the profit number given in the exam paper. They take a profit number, they use a calculator, still they get 5% wrong. They don't even know to distinguish between a million and a billion. You're reaching a AAA level. You're becoming future accountants, but still you're doing blunders with millions and billions. Number 3, answers with few bullet points or just few small paragraphs overall is not appropriate for the AAA paper. We know in AAA paper, we give answers in bullets if you're writing procedures, actions. Apart from that, whatever we write in the AAA paper is not bullets, it's not bullets, it's not sentences. If you're writing answers in sentences, short paragraphs of like a sentence and two, that's not worthy for AAA. In AAA, try to ensure minimum what you're writing for everything, like an ethical issue, like a business risk, like an audit risk. I'm saying minimum is 2 to 3 sentences. Yes, for audit risk and ROM, we normally stretch it to like 5 and 6 sentences because we need to bring in the accounting treatment. So when you bring in the accounting treatment, automatically that volume of the answer grows up. But even for ethical issue, telling this is a self-review thread and justifying why, it will take up to 2 to 3 sentences. But if a student is just writing sentence or few sentences or just writing very small paragraphs, you're not impressing the marker at all because you need a density in your answer within the time management because that's important. Now, what maximum can you write within time? Every student will have his or her own definition of that. So I can write like 7 lines in a minute. You can write 4 lines in a minute. Another student can say I can write 3 lines in a minute. Now, for every that is what should go in. So what maximum you can write in a minute? That's time management. Number 4, if it is a good technical answer, professional skill marks will flow in automatically. Now, this is a clarification. A lot of students seems confused about professional marks. A lot of students believe they need to do something extra, something special to get through those 20 professional marks. No, that's not the case. It's about a good technical answer. If you have read the requirement and you wrote the answer according to what was asked in the requirement, if the requirement was asking evaluate and prioritize the significant risk, you did evaluated each risk for its impact. You did identify what is the risk in each of the risks you've identified. You have commented on the materiality of each risk. You have done every basic thing you need to do to write a good technical answer. If you're writing a good technical answer linked to the case, you have ensure that I have justified the expectation of the requirement very well. The professional marks will automatically start to flow towards you. You're not doing anything extra. Yes, we know we need to exercise judgments at lots of places, just like I told you in the point number 2, just like I told you in the point number 1. You need to be very skeptical about management bias throughout the AAA paper because you need to be very concerned about management attitudes and management behaviors. You need to question management. You need to be critical of the management assumptions, management statements, because you will get many of them in the AAA paper. So that overall skeptical tone and questioning management and challenging management and not agreeing to what management is saying is the right attitude of the auditor. So if that sort of behavior will go into your answer throughout the 100 marks paper, along with you're writing a very good technical answer, you know how to write an audit risk, you know that you're writing a business risk. A business risk cannot be without impact. The impact has to be very clear on the business objectives. You're not repeating the business objectives again and again, like you're saying it will reduce the profitability. In the second business risk, you say it will reduce the profitability. In the third business risk, you say it will reduce the profitability. That's not impressing the marker because there are so many business objectives, not just profit. So you can write about profit once, but you have to think about the alternatives, other business objectives on which the impact can go in. So that's where you can be careful, and you need to assure yourself that if I'm writing a good technical answer according to the marks, according to the case, I'm trying to meet the expectation of the requirements given by the examiner, definitely you're scoring greater on the side of professional. Number 5, there are still 4 marks for communication skill in question number 1. We know there are 10 professional marks in question number 1, of which 4 are communication skill marks, and they're easy to score because you just need to structure your answer in briefing note. You need to give headings and subheadings. You just need to adhere to the instruction of the partner. If the partner is saying, I want materiality on this, then calculate on this. If the partner is saying, I don't want you to consider the risk relating to inventory, then don't consider risk relating to inventory. If the partner says, I want you to do this, I don't want you to do this, follow those do's and don'ts when writing the answer. Structure the answer well. Layout of the answer should be good, like a briefing note, headings and subheadings, and is scoring good 4 professional marks, which are communication. The rest of the marks, is about commercial acumen, analysis and evaluation, skepticism and judgment. I just given you point number 1 and 2 above, which falls under the question number 1. So that can help you gain a lot of marks around analysis and evaluation and judgment. But 4 easy marks coming from communication, at least that should not be lost. And lastly, a clarification. IFRS 18, will be examinable starting September 25 exam. So this is IFRS 18, not 8. IFRS 18, right, which is replacing the IAS 1, will be examinable starting from September 25 exam sitting. So if you're going for the June 25 exams, you're not bothered about IFRS 18 or going through it or revising through it. You will still go with IAS 1 for the June 25 exams. So these are some issues, some clarifications. I hope you will note them down, you will follow them, and that will contribute immensely to your success in the upcoming exam. Now, one last thing, time management. Even though I've spoken of this so many times in my previous webinars, but just want to reinforce on it. This is the grid I always give to my student, and you must be habitual of this if you're repeating the AAA paper and if you've watched a couple of my previous webinars. Question number 1, the total time is in the red, 97.5 minutes. Of that, 24 minutes is to read and plan, and 73.5 minutes is to write. You can round them off to make them a proper number. Question 2, question 3, each has a total time of 48.75 minutes, of which 12 minutes is to read and plan, and 36.75 minutes is to write the answer. What best you can write within 73.5 minutes for question number 1 is the right length of the answer. What best you can write in 36.75 minutes is the right length of answer for question 2, and same goes with question 3. If you're writing something in excess of 73.5 minutes in question number 1, that is wrong. That is absolutely wrong. When you're practicing at home, you need to ensure what best you can write in 73.5 minutes. You need to structure your answer, tailor your answer in such a way that you can fit everything in 73.5 minutes. You need to see your answer for business risk, audit risk, procedures, every part of it, that where I am running out of time. You need to reduce a bit of length of your audit risk, a bit of length for business risk. You need to reduce your length if you're going above 73.5 minutes. Suppose you finish the answer in 90 minutes, when it has to be finished in 73.5 minutes. So that extra 16 minutes or 17 minutes you took, that means you are writing, either your writing speed is slow or you're not managing to write the full answer within 73.5 minutes. So what you can do, you can reduce the length of your answer by like 10%, 15%, what you actually wrote. So and automatically you will fit into 73.5 minutes. So you need to reduce your length of answer after seeing how much minutes you took over the 73.5 minutes. So please do practice at home to ensure that the best answer is the one you will write in time. Anything over the time is killing the opportunities in your other questions 2 and 3. And you have to ensure that every question is done within the time, the best you can do, and just move on to the next question. This is my final analysis. Time management remains a significant issue in AAA paper. Keep in mind 1.95 minutes per mark to plan your answers effectively. Allocate 1/4 of the total time for reading and planning, because reading and planning will really help you write a good answer. Without reading and planning, you might be taking a much more time than 73.5 minutes for question number one, because reading and planning will help you copy paste the points. You will be putting the points in the word processor. You will be making yourself ready to write an answer in 73.5 minutes if your first 24 minutes are spent wisely. If your first 24 minutes are not spent wisely, which is the reading and planning time for question number one, you might struggle within the 73.5 minutes. I believe a lot of times students overrun time because their reading and planning is not good. They're not utilizing that time effectively, or they don't know what to do in that 24 minutes of the reading and planning time. So uh, they're just not using it well, and that increases the stress level when you come to writing. When the allocated time for a question expire, it is essential to stop and move on. It is essential to stop and move on, because this is how success can come to you. If you don't stop, you keep writing and you're killing the opportunities in the other questions. I want you to do every question wherever the time ends, stop, even though it's 10% incomplete, even though it's 15% incomplete, stop, move to the next one. Because in every question, you have scoring pockets, you have scoring opportunities, you can take marks from there and you can excel. Although clear guidance on this topic has been provided repeatedly, it is crucial to adhere to these instructions and practice them at home before your real exam. Do time management practice on 5 exams minimum. If you do them on 5 exams, you can better demonstrate the time management in your June exams, otherwise not. So following the reading and planning time, following the writing time, stopping and moving on, these are things you can practice. If you're not practicing, you will not do it for the first time in the June exams. You will panic out and you will lose confidence. You can expect to master time management techniques if you have worked on several recent papers, like 5. Even the mock assessment. Do the mock assessment at a time and see how much mock you manage to complete within the total 195 minutes you have. Otherwise, you will face difficulties and challenges on the day of your real exam. Every question has a time. Stick to it. Where the time ends, stop. Even 10% left, 15% left, move on. Take opportunities from the question number 2. Then take opportunities from the question number 3. Maximizing the opportunities means you're maximizing your prospects of going above the 50 marks barrier in the AAA paper. Be wise, right? Be clever. At times, you're not clever in the exam. We're not taking the right decisions in the exam. We are not using the reading and planning time wisely. We are not copy pasting things wisely in our word processor, or we are copy pasting too much that when we start to write, we forget that why we copy pasted this. So even copy paste needs a clever mind, an intelligent mind, because I can only copy a word or a sentence. I cannot copy the whole paragraph, because at the end of the day, that will be a botheration for me when we're writing the answer. So please have common sense. Please show your intelligence. Please demonstrate your calmness on the day of exam and utilize these time management techniques in an effective manner alongside the issues and clarities I've given to you in the day 2 of this webinar. I wish you all success, and I hope this webinar will be benefiting you in terms of guidance. Your tutor, Kashif Kamran, signing off.